Look at this. Look at all this. This is absolute madness. Hi friends, it is Sam and I am coming at you to talk books. Because the previous year I wasn't that committed to reading, I did set myself a slightly low goal of 20 books. And I surpassed that by 10. I read 30 books in 2020. And today I'm gonna talk about every single one, hopefully briefly, because this could shape up to be a very long video. And for that very reason, I'm gonna get right into it. The first book I read in 2020 was Thomasina by Paul Gallico. I'm not a massive fan of this cover. I bought it in a charity shop and it very much looks like the sort of book you'd find in a charity shop. But the other Paul Gallico cat book I've got has a beautiful cover and I really enjoyed it. So, like Mary Poppins says, the cover is not the book, and I really loved this book. It's about a girl whose cat died and she becomes gravely ill at the knowledge that her dad was the one to put her cat down. So the question is, can this witch make the little girl better and reunite her with her deceased cat? I can't remember what I rated this. I think it was 4 or 5 stars. It might have been 4 stars. It was 4 stars. A good book to begin a horrible year with. Next up, we've got a delightful little book that I found in HomeSense. It's illustrated, it's absolutely beautiful, and it's called You Are Enough. How to Love the Skin You're In and Embrace Your Awesomeness by Harri Rose. It's a body positive book about fatness not being a negative thing, and about everyone being beautiful and accepting who they are. And I rated this 5 stars. I recommend it to everyone. We all get bad self-esteem days, and this is an excellent tool to use when you're feeling down about yourself. The next book I read was Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin. This is a teen book. It's about a girl who dies at 16 and she finds herself on a boat to Elsewhere. Elsewhere is the afterlife, and basically she ages backwards from her age, and it's about how she deals with being dead, being in a different place, being able to see her family through binoculars but not contact them. Very different from the other books I've read, which is always a selling point because I've read a lot of books and it can get kind of samey. I did rate this 3 stars, but it was fun. Next up, we got Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. There were a lot of 80s references that I either had to Google or ignore, so that kind of bumped points off for me, but I really enjoyed this book. I'm not sure about reading the sequel yet. Jess has read it and she loves it just as much as she loves this one, but this stressed me out. It was so tense. Like, I knew how it was going to end, but it was a lot. It was a lot for me to take in. So I don't know if I want to put myself through that stress again. I rated this 4 stars on Goodreads. Highly recommend. The next book I read was Are We All Lemmings and Snowflakes by Holly Bourne. This is about kids with mental illness who go to a summer camp. I can't really remember much about this book. I know the main character has bipolar. Apparently it's not that memorable because I barely remember it. I think I gave it 3 stars. Let's have a look. I rated it 4 stars. Okay. The quotes I used in my review are, because trying to use logic to explain anxiety is like using a banana to unlock a safe. And what people don't understand about feeling such potent sadness is when it lifts, it really lets you know what happiness means. So this book is just obviously full of wisdom that I forgot about, but 4 stars apparently. Next up we have the second 5-star read of 2020, and that is another body positive book, Just Eat It by Laura Thomas, PhD. This is a book all about intuitive eating, about eating when you're hungry, eating what you want, eating positively, and creating a positive relationship with food. I've got quite a few body positive and intuitive eating books. If you want recommendations, I will leave them in the description because they are so helpful and they've changed my life. Next up, we have the first negative review, The Savages by Matt Wyman. Or shall I say, Matt Wyman. I gave this book 2 stars. It's about a family of cannibals who occasionally pinch people off the street and cook them and eat them, which actually I could get on board with as a novel. The characters were a bit wishy-washy. I didn't like that the only aspect to Jack's personality was that he was a vegetarian. Typos. So many typos. I can't stand typos in books, and in my own ebook, Jess has spotted a couple and I had to go back, edit and re-upload it. I just can't stand it. And like, it's okay for me because I don't have an editor, but man, come on. I feel like we're ready for another 5-star book. I Have Lost My Way by Gail Forman. I fell in love with Gail Forman after I read If I Stay. This, I absolutely loved it. Just every emotion under the sun, I felt it. And usually I don't like a book that spans one day. I want more time with characters, I want to get to know them properly, and I don't think you can do that in a day. But I loved the characters in this, I loved the story, and it was just perfect, absolutely perfect. It's about a singer who's lost her voice, a boy who's had his heart broken, another boy who's homeless and alone, and they all find each other, and I highly recommend it. It's so good. The next book I read in 2020 was The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I saw this book in charity shops so many times before I finally bought it. I wanted to read it because the film starred Chloe Grace, who I love very much, but it's part of a series and I don't particularly like starting new series. I'm kind of a commitment phobe when it comes to TV and books, but because Chloe Grace was in The Fifth Wave, and so was Nick Robinson, I didn't know, I love Nick Robinson, I wanted to read the book before I watched the film. I've now read the book and watched the film. I'm quite disappointed they haven't carried on with the films. It wasn't great, but it was good enough for me to want more, probably because I love the actors. I don't know. This is a book about the post-apocalypse. Aliens have taken over Earth and kind of devastated humanity. And this is about a girl who's lost her brother and she's trying to get him back from the aliens. And she's all alone and struggling. I didn't expect to love this, but I did like it very much. I rated it 4 stars. It's time for another 5-star book already. I've obviously read some absolute bangers this last year. Not this year, it's 2021 everyone. 2020 is over. Wonder by RJ Palacio. I want to say it's Palacio, I hope it's Palacio. Oh my god. Incredible. You may have heard of the film, it's got Owen Wilson in it, and again, I wanted to watch the film, so I read the book first. And I can't fault it. It's insanely good. So good. It's about a deformed little boy who goes into 5th grade in school and how he's treated, and he makes a friend and everyone makes fun of her for being his friend, but she stays his friend anyway. Oh my god, my heart, my heart. Here's an excerpt from my review on Goodreads. I can't really articulate how good this book was. Whatever I say won't sound good enough. I'll just leave you with 2 things. 1. This author has excellent understanding of 5th grade children and how they think. 2. Read it. Do you know what? There's something about a yellow book that I just really love. This book's yellow. The next book I read in 2020 was Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. This book is about a boy called Jack who falls in love with a girl called Kate, and then Kate perishes. Jack then finds out that he can time travel back to the moment they met and try and save her. And this book is very Groundhog Day. There are constant loops of him going back to that day, reliving the time, her dying, and so on. So I didn't expect to like this that much. I'm not huge on time travel. But I gave this book 4 stars. I think the characters were adorable, and although at times it did get repetitive, I liked it. It was charming. Next up, we've got a very small book from one of my personal heroes, Greta Thunberg. No one is too small to make a difference. I got a Waterstones voucher last Christmas and I bought some things and I needed a few more pounds to spend on my voucher, and this was like £3. So I bought this and it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It's basically a collection of all the speeches she's made up to the point of publication. I'm sorry, I've just had my lunch. The 13th book I read in 2020 was The Shining by Stephen King. Do I need to tell you what this is about? This is possibly one of the most famous books of all time. Maybe one of the most highly rated books of all time. So I'm sorry to say it's not my favourite of King's work. Don't get me wrong, Stephen King's a genius. I just don't think this lives up to the hype. Beautifully written, as always, but I'm sorry, I didn't like it that much compared to his others. I mean, I like it, but it wasn't my favourite. I think I gave it 4 stars, and because I was on a bit of a King kick, the 14th book I read in 2020 was Carrie by Stephen King. I think I also rated this one 4 stars. It's about a girl with telekinesis who's bullied in school and the consequences of that bullying. Would you believe Baby got a masterpiece for 50p in a charity shop? She did. This book's 5 star. I can't recommend it enough. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Why did it take me so long to read this book? Yellow Pages. This just brings to light how important racial equality is and how much work there is left to be done so that Black and minority people feel safe and equal. A Black boy is killed. He's innocent. A police officer shoots him in the street, and this is about the repercussions and how it's so much harder for a Black person to get justice than a white person. It's thought-provoking, it's heart-wrenching, it's amazing. I also recommend the film. You know what? I've just realised this next book is the only gay book I read in 2020. What? What? Gay is my favourite genre, but you know, quality over quantity, and this was very high quality. Red, White and Royal Blue. This is about the son of a president and the son of a queen falling in love. It's a long distance relationship. It's a beautiful relationship, born from hatred, which is like the best kind of relationship because then they get like really passionate for each other. This book read very much to me like fan fiction. If you're a fan of All Time Low and you read fan fiction about All Time Low, you may have come across a fan fiction called Fireworks. And this book felt very similar. It's nowhere near in terms of storyline, but like the love between the characters, it just struck me as very Fireworks. I gave it 4 stars. I can't remember why. I know that the author put a studio audience in This Morning, which is a British TV show, and I was not very happy with that. I was like, no, you're wrong. There's not a studio audience in This Morning, and it bothered me. Okay, so my review is as follows. This book, for me, was just shy of 5 stars. The first chapter didn't suck me in, as first chapters should, as a rule. And the author, though establishing that this is clearly a parallel universe, made the small mistake of giving beloved TV show This Morning a live audience. I don't know why the latter bothered me so much, but I'm afraid it did. However, everything else, perfection. Every character is believable and unique. The story is so beautiful and easy to read. It's a book that brings hope for a better future and a kinder, more inclusive world. Next up, I'm afraid we have another 2-star book. Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. I'm sorry. I know she's a really popular author, but I don't know why. I've read 2, okay? I've only read 2. So the other 2 I own that I'm gonna read because I purchased them, I might love. But this and There's Someone Inside Your House, pants. I'm sorry. Just cliche, generic. Like, it wasn't boring and it was occasionally funny, which is why I didn't get 1 star. But unless the other 2 Stephanie Perkins books on my TBR are just astounding in a good way, I will not be reading any more Stephanie Perkins books, I'm afraid. My next 5-star read is the sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. I adored this book. It just contained all the excitement that The Shining didn't. Absolutely amazing. I loved the characters. I loved the relationship between the main character Dan and the little girl Abra. How the final battle is fought is just incredible. Obviously I'm not gonna spoil it, but if you've seen the film and you liked it, this is better. I'm gonna have to do a video where I rank my Stephen King collection by least favourite to favourite. This is up there. This is so good. Okay, so my next book kind of prompted quite an angry review. I just read my review of this book and I was mad. The last book I read by this author, I gave 5 stars. I loved it very much. So I was really excited when I saw this book had been released and I bought it straight away. But then it turned out to be 2 stars. So Lucky by Dawn Porter. Wow, was this bad. The only reason I didn't give it 1 star was because there were absolutely hilarious moments. Dawn Porter is amazing at making me laugh. And I loved Risky as a character. She was very feminist. But let's discuss the bad points. One character neglects her child very, very severely, and is absolutely shocking what she puts this child through. But she does learn to love her child. She's got a condition that makes her hate herself, and that's the reason she neglects her child. Her story alone would have made a brilliant book, perhaps a 5-star book. But the other characters, Wow! One of the other characters is starved of sex by her husband. So, at one point during this book, she rapes him. And it's not addressed at all. She gets away with it. And you're supposed to like this character afterwards. Honestly, I could make a whole video on female in the media because it makes me so angry that women can get away with it. In my review I put, there's no grey area here and there was no attempt to shed light on it as an issue, which I think is such a shame for a so-called feminist book. Not only is this book about cishet, rich, white idiots, it's also fraught with spelling errors, typos and grammatical errors. I remember sending pictures of every single grammatical error to my friend. Many commas are used where a semicolon would have served better, and it annoyed me that the sentences were structured this way. Sloppy, sloppy writing. I hate misuse of commas. I dropped out of English in college, so the highest English qualification I have is a GCSE, but oh my god, punctuation, spelling, grammar, sort it out. Now you'd think that I'd pick up a better book after that garbage, but no. I think this next one is my only 1-star read of 2020. Living Dolls by Natasha Walter. I don't know if you're aware, but I'm quite a feminist. I had such high hopes for a book about sexism, but it was terrible, rubbish, crap. So my review is very short. So boring, very slut-shamey, almost came across as sexist itself, and the whole second half cited inconclusive experiments and felt pointless. I'm impressed that I had the willpower to finish this drivel. Praise the Lord, we've got a decent book next. You by Caroline Kepnes. I watched the show before I read the book and I really enjoyed the show, both seasons. So sis got me both books for Christmas last year and I've yet to read the next one, but I've read this one and I gave it 4 stars. Very similar to the show, so I won't go on about it too much. It's basically, it follows Joe Goldberg, played by our boy Penn Badgley in the TV show. He's a stalker and he stalks girls and tricks them into becoming his girlfriends. We got another 5-star read by the same author of the last 5-star read. Stephen King. The next 6 books in this list I did reading vlogs on for Vlogtober and they're all spooky. I'm just gonna gloss over them. This is Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. It's about aliens. It's horrific and amazing and I rated it 5 stars. Highly recommend. One of the best King books I've read. The Hunted by Gabriel Bergmoser. I rated this 4 stars and the author actually watched my reading vlog and said that he really enjoyed it, so that was amazing. Demon Apocalypse and Death Shadow by Darren Shan, books 6 and 7 in the Demonata. I gave both of these 3 stars. Next up we got The Orphan by Christopher Ransom. I gave this 4 stars. It's kind of confusing. The story was unique but not particularly memorable. Penultimate 5-star book in my 2020 book list is The Chalk Man by CJ Tudor. I loved this book so much. I keep seeing Tudor's recent book in the supermarkets and I think I'm gonna have to pick it up. If it's as good as this one, then like there is just no excuse not to. Unfortunately the next one wasn't that good. I think I gave it 2 stars. Might have been 3, I might have been feeling generous. And my review says I was gonna give this 2 stars, but the ending kind of made up for the terribleness of the rest. Again, same with Donna Porter. I loved the last book I read by this author, so I was really looking forward to this one. The Magnificent Mrs Mayhew by Millie Johnson. It's about a politician's wife who is psychologically abused by her husband and runs away to a little town. Another book where everyone's white, skinny and straight. Which brings us to the penultimate book and my final 5-star review of 2020. Dying for Christmas. This book I cannot fault. I mean, I've got one small criticism, but it's explained at the end. But I can't spoil it. It's hard. I've got one little criticism, but it's kind of rendered null at the end. So, I've got no criticisms. It says on the back, packs a killer twist. It's not wrong. It's about a woman who is kidnapped at Christmas and she is given a gruesome gift by her kidnapper for the 12 days of Christmas. Nothing is as it seems. Totally unexpected. Totally horrific. Completely amazing. Highly recommend for your next Christmas read, or just for a read. It's not that festive. I mean, death and stuff. And the final book I read in 2020, we finally got here an hour later, is 1000 Stars and You by Isabel Broom. I believe I gave this 3 stars, but I did really enjoy it. This book is about disability and love and body positivity, and those are things I feel strongly about. There are some absolutely gorgeous bits. I love that it taught me all about Sri Lanka. I googled Sri Lanka quite a lot while I was reading this book, just so that I could picture the scenery. Absolutely beautiful. So we got quite a large donation pile. Now I really enjoy doing these videos. I don't think I did an every book I read in 2018 video, so this is only my second wrap up, but I've decided that this year I may do more book related videos. I hope that's okay, because I really love reading, I really love writing. Is a big part of my life, so I want to share that on my channel. I hope that's okay. I'm not going to do masses of book videos, but I just want to do more. I hope you have a lovely day. Let me know what you read in 2020 and what's on your TBR list for 2021, and I will see you next time with another video.